Chazor of the Maimer so far. So Yonatan says to David, Mochor Chodesh, tomorrow is Chodesh. And if Kadata, you will be remembered, Ki pocket Meshavecha, for your place will be absent. So there's two inyanim which are contradictory. It would appear to contradict that you're going to be remembered because you're not there. And both conveyed by the same word, no less. And moreover, the union of Venifkadatos also Meloshin Chayv Adam Lifka, this ifshta, that a person has to literally visit, be with his wife before embarking on a journey, which is the ultimate yichud. So that yichud comes as a result of ki pocket, as a result of a helen v'hester. So the explanation is that that's taka the inyan, that in order there should be the yichud of shimsha v'sira, sun and moon, which is yichud zah and nun or zun, which is this chodesh every Rosh Chodesh. So there has to be first a helen. Then he explained that this is very different to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is also Rosh Chodesh, but Rosh Hashanah is not a helen. The Rosh Hashanah comes as a result of the complete stira, the complete dismantling of Malchus, and the whole Avodah is binyan Malchus. Whereas Rosh Chodesh, Malchus doesn't disappear, but she comes. And Lashon Kabbalah as an akuda tachas yisoid. Kuda means present, but in the state of ater bittul, to be makabel from yisoid. And that, in fact, is the achana for that yichud, dafka the bittul, dafka the helem, the achana for not only yichud zun, but that sets in motion yichud, l'mayla, chachma bina, and high still. Then he connected that with the parsha. The parsha in kesef talve es ami es ha'oni imach. The mitzvah, it's talk in general, but specifically to lend to the poor. So the Medrash says, it's a pasuk kapitel, and the kapitel samach vav. The pasuk says, Hashem, what's the pasuk? He brings the pasuk here. That David HaMelech asks Hashem Yeshev Eilamecha. David HaMelech is asking that Hashem should equalize his world, settle his world, and everybody should have. They wish to answer in response. That's the Medrash touches the pasuk, not the simple pshat. The simple pshat is Hashem dwells forever in his world. Hashem dwells in his world, and then the pasuk continues. Chesed bemes man yinseruhu, that kindness and truth, man yinseruhu, he watches. But the Medrash touches a conversation. First half of the pasuk is a request of David HaMelech, and the second half is David's answer. David HaMelech asked that all should be equal, poor should be no poor and rich. Which David said, if so who will be the custodians of Chesed ve'emes? Which means that there has to be the inyan of hashpah, of a mashpia mekabel. And that's the pshat in the pasuk in kesef talves ami. Which concludes that the Eibishter says, into the ice there, imi no, he's not touching the pasuk over here. He's just saying that this whole inyanim, kesef talves ami, is what we're talking about here, the yichud of mashpia mekabel, zun, and chachma bina, and higher. And why is that critical? Because that's the whole unit of Seder Shtalshalos. The whole Seder Shtalshalos, the whole Kavona Elyoina is to make separation, and that we should bring oneness there. Mashpia Makabel. And that's what he wants us to do, an effect in all of Shtalshalos, and that is done by the Avodah down here. Ruach Aisi, Ruach V'amshich Ruach. Our Avodah here brings and draws a parallel response above. Hence, that's the beginning of Osher and Ani down here, wealthy and the poor down here, and there should be the Hashpah, and he has the critical point that as through the Hashpah, or that, rather, let's rephrase that, the true Hashpah is only possible through an inyan which is, in other words, they unite. The Osher and the Ani unite is only possible through an inyan which is higher than both of them. That's Ein Sof Shlemayim Mishtalshalos, as he describes it here. Yeah, so then is our pasuk. The Medrash is in our pasuk, as Ami is you'll lend to my people, the poor amongst you. So my people, the Medrash teaches that when the Ani is with you, if you help him, then you are with me. You are with me. Ha'ani imach, then ata immi. It starts off with Imkesef Talves Ami. When is it my people? When are you my people? You, Mashpia, when you, as Ani imach, you Mashpia to the Makabel. That's the title on the pasuk of this Medrash. What's this level that he teaches? That is Yid is Mamshech. It's also hinted in the words Ha'ani imach. And that's the level of Ki imcha meker chayim, which conveys that with you is a source of life, that you are higher even in the source of life. The source of life is which is bottled to Atzmos. But what you being mamshech through this inyan of being mashpia and being makabel, you'll be makabel imi that you be makabel that level which is with me, which is the oir which is bottled to Atzmos, oir insof. Clear? That's with me. The oir that is bottled to Atzmos, imcha maker chayim. And then as the Medrash goes on to say, just like I do not falter forever, so you too do not. As the pasuk says that he who gives his money without interest will not falter forever. Pasuk in Tilim, kasper nitten beneshach layimet la'ilam. And what's this not changing? That's conveying this inyan. The unchangingness is conveying that through this avodah of hashpah and Mekabel, so you draw on that unchanging level of Alikus. That's the level of Ki'imcha Meker Chayim, the Eid that is bottled to Atzmos, Eid in Sof Shlemayim Mishtalshalos. Through which this affects the Yichud Mashpia Mekabel. Yeah, we're clear? Yeah. Yeah. Is Gimel. Is Gimel, we said here is Gimel. So the Chazar of Is Gimel is to explain this. So the pasuk says, Chesed chafatzti v'lo zevach. The Navi says in Hashem's name, I want Chesed and not a korban. So Chesed is higher than a korban. That's what David is saying here. The Ike Kavon is only Chesed. Not only is it higher, Chesed le chafatzti, but only korban. How could this be? Korbanos, the whole Torah is full of korbanos. It's the essence of the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is the dira. So therefore, you cannot say in a suggested answer that I do want korbanos, but that's the rotzen. The rotzen is in korbanos. The chayfetz, the previous rotzen, that's only in chesed. You can't answer that either, because the need of the korbanos is to make a dira le'yisbarach and mishkan. And what's a dira? Dira is where a person resides, not merely with his will, but his inner desire. So after that question, the Pnimis HaRotzen is drawn, obviously, through the Avodah Sakarbanis. as we make the word a Mishkan Le'Yizbarach, a Dir Le'Yizbarach. So how could he say what is meant that Chesed Chafatzti V'lo Yizevach, not Karbanis? That's a wrap to. Second paragraph, Ois Gimel. Yuvna Pimai Menazal, which we've also learned, this beer, the Kolakere, it says in Masechta Berachos, Kolakere, Krishna V'lei Tefillin, anyone who reached Krishna without Tefillin, Kil Hikrif Oila B'lei Mincha, it's like he brought an Oila, which is completely consumed on the Mizbeach, without a Mincha, without the accompanying meal offering, and Zevach B'lei Nisachim, and a korban without the libation of wine. Beer Indian, what's the connection to Krishna and Tefillin? To bringing a korban without the sachim, without the wine, or an oila without the mincha. In the hefers ben oila and mincha. What's the difference between the oila and the mincha? Oila shikol al mizbeach v'nakenim beichlim b'yisa. So the oila is completely consumed on the mizbeach. That's what it's called oila. It's aliyah descends, and even the kohanim don't eat of its meat. So who in halo, that's a scent. But the korban mincha, the accompanying meal offering made of flour and oil, the kohanim do eat. So who in hamshach, that is drawing down, and that's hinted to in the word mincha. Mincha malashin nechais darge. The word mincha hints to nechais, a descent of level, a descending level. Likewise, likewise, the difference between korban and the nesachim and the pouring of the wine. The korban is a scent. The fat and the innards, are burnt on the mizbeach. They ascend. And the nesachim, the wine pours down. The wine that was poured on the Mizbeach, Yerdim B'Shitin, it used to descend through the canals, literally nostrils. The top of the Mizbeach, there are two holes. And they would descend to the depth. They were hollow and they would descend to the depth. They were hollow and descended to the depth. There were two of them there on the corner. That's the difference between Krishma and Tefillin. So the sachim is drawing down. The wine descends to the depth. Because that's the difference between Krishma and Tefillin. What did the Gemara say? By Chazal, quoting Chazal, that whoever says Krishma without Tefillin, it's like he brought a korban, either an oila or a zevach, but he didn't bring it with the accompanying mincha or the wine or the nesachim. Why? The Krishma yin halom lamata lamaylo. Inyat Krishma is ascent from below to above. After he said in the preparatory brichas Krishma. So he's born as bavodas malachim is mizbein in the avodah the malachim. Why is he mizbein in the avodah malachim in brackets? He needs the need is not only for nefesh habamis, because nefesh habamis comes from the residue, the shmari oifanim, from the angels. Hence the angels are also called chayis, shoyer, and so on. Oxen, and nesher, an eagle. So obviously, it's explained at length in Chassidus, the whole point of Krishma is to love the Eibishter with all your heart, including Nefesh Bahamis. We told the Nefesh Bahamis, which is the self, is not a foreign world to you. This is where you come from. Your Chodesh is the Malachim, the Chayis HaKodesh, whose whole life, whose whole existence is love and awe of God, not asking one to become something foreign. So that's one of the Iker primary intents in Birchas Krishma, talking about the Avodas Malachim. What's is well known, the famous Rashba. But on the surface, First, why are we saying a bracha? It's mitzvah say deraisa. So one of the answers that the birchas krishma is that bracha still doesn't answer fully, where we don't say Hashek Edishon but mitzvah. That's another discussion. But the question is, what is the subject matter got to do with Shema? Talking about the malachim. The answer is the whole of the Shema is ve'ahavta b'chol levavcha. So it's a whole abundance to induce a love for God, starting with Nefesh Bahamis. This is where you will find, or I will find, you meaning Nefesh Bahamis, true fulfillment is in the Ruchnias, because you really come from the Ruchnias, the holy world. You descend from Malach. Not only that, he adds in the brackets, Elagam b'shal Nefesh Halikis. This whole abundance is also need for the Nefesh Halikis, is explained at length in Chassidus. Nefesh Halikis has to learn the fire of the Nefesh Bahamis and is elevated through Nefesh Bahamis' refinement. At any rate, overall, the whole Avodah is from below to above. So then we're ready after the holy abundance. So when Yid says we have to, the point is, it's not he's quoting. It says in the Torah you're supposed to love. The point is, that when he says we have to, there's some degree of we have to. He's in fulfillment of that. At least an intellectual love. At least tvuna, as we're learning in Tanya. At any rate, so this is the end of what, or the emotions of the intellect, I should say. So this is the end of what of Krishma. Krishma, I didn't get the Shmones. Now Krishma, Bashenk in Tefillin, when you're Mochor Lamato, Tefillin is all about drawing down, which is why the straps have to come down past the navel at least. You do should they meet this Tefillin, Peilim Shakal is Borcham and Tefillin, as we Mitzvah Bacha says in the Maimer from the Medrash, when a Yid puts on Tefillin, he causes the Eibush to put on Tefillin. And what is that? The drawing down of the Eibishter's divine Moichin below. Now we understand the Maimer Azal. That to say Krishma without Tefillin, it's like bringing the Korban, but not bringing the Mincha, not bringing the Nesachim. The Krishma b'lei Tefillin echad im zevach b'lei Nesachim. Krishna without tefillin is one thing. It's analogous to a korban without the nesachim, without the nisuchayayim, because it's only one direction. Shunyan halo b'leim shach. It's ascent, but there's no descent. Now he concludes. It's all to answer. Chesed chafatzti v'lei zevach. B'tachlis hakavani eine binyan aliyah melamata l'maylo. So when he says he doesn't want zevach, he doesn't want the avoid of korbanos. It means it's not the kavanah. The kavanah is not the aliyah so much. That's achana. It's critical, necessary, but it's the achana. The kavanah is drawing a likus down into the world. In order to do that, it has to be the surrender. But the kavanah is the engagement. I want chesed, not zevach. He wants the korban. But the korban has to be within the Nesachim, with tefillin, with the mincha. So in the Allah, tachlis hamachuvni in chesed, that's a chondat to the chesed hashpa hamshachim lemata davka. Shana says the Nesachim, which is done through the Nesachim in the tefillin. Yeah, is dalit, yes. On madain tzarich love and sharab mechazal. We're not done yet, because the Gemara says osim brachas tefillas keneged korbanos tiknum, that overall tefillas were established corresponding to korbanos. That's tefillah without tefillin davening. Just like overall korbanos, and not just the bringing of the zevach. Which is from below to above. Korbanos includes everything, the whole avodah, including the nesachim, the wine libation, drawing down. So in tefillah also, it's not just as we said before, from below to above. There's an aspect also in tefillah of above to below. What is the drawing down? We understand that davening is halam lamata lamaila, the surrender b'chol levavach v'chol nafshecha. He's bringing himself as a korban. That's how it all begins. That's why the whole davening begins with Avraham bringing Yitzchak as a korban. Not only to simple meaning is to invoke his schus, but it's more to invoke his example. So the whole end of davening, l'chora, is milamata l'mayla korban. Where is the amshachim l'mayla l'mata? Answer. So love ma'yan amshachim shebetfilah. The Gemara says, Shabbos, Shisha Dvarim Adam Echel Perisel Belam Hazeh. 6 things a person eats the fruit of it. In other words, he gets a reward, but he's not using up the principle. He only eats the fruit he eats in this world. But the principle awaits him in the world to come. So there is benefit of this world, like a profit of the midst of these 6 things, but the principle is the Elam Haba. One of the 6 things, I don't have the Gemara in front of me, but one of the 6 things is Iyun Tefillah, which is davening with concentration of davening. The Gemara asks over there, Now we learned in the Mishnah, another Mishnah which talks about the same thing, that a person does and enjoys the fruit in this world, but the principle awaits him. Only 3 things are mentioned there. And here it's 6. The 3 are really in the 6. So where's Iyun Tefillah? Iyun Tefillah is only mentioned in the first quote, not in the second. So Pirush Rashi, Iyun Tefillah B'chlal Gemilas Chasodim. The second one mentions Gemilas Chasodim, and that includes also Iyun Tefillah, which is a pella. How is concentration in davening part of Gemilas Chasodim? Rashi explains. The Gemara just says that these 3 are really the 6, the additional 3 are part of the 3 mentioned in the second Mishnah. Rashi explains, where's Iyun Tefillah? So Rashi says, T'chsiv goymel nafshei ish chesed. Simple pshat is, who bestows good on his soul if you're an ish chesed. If you're an ish chesed, you do yourself a favor. Goymel nafshei. It seems that Rashi is teaching that goymel nafshei is tefillah. Tefillah is the service of the soul, l'chora. And that's associated with chesed. He's called an ish chesed. We have to explain this. How an Iyun Tefillah is the union of chesed. I don't have a Gemara. That's pshat. So the question remains, which he's bringing this, he brought this Gemara to explain the union of Hamshacha of chesed also in Tefillah. So what does it now explain? So Krishma comes ba'achrei hachona v'akdama de birchas Krishma p'sukkah de zimra. So it comes, as we said before, after birchas Krishma, before the p'sukkah de zimra, verses of praise, of song. What's p'sukkah de zimra? P'sukkah de zimra in ha'izbon is mashakos. So what do we say then? Haydei al eretz v'shamayim, His glory literally on heaven and earth. And he raises the horn of his people, the prestige there. That's a simple meaning. Deeper meaning, Hoida is his glory or his raise. Meaning, What Hashem has invested in creation is merely a glimmer, merely a mere glimmer. So a person is misbeinen in the whole world, the whole cosmos, the whole ishtalshalus, eretz v'shamayim. All it is the merest glimmer of Hashem, and Hashem is completely otherwise removed, as it were, concealed. So what's the point of such isbonenus? There's many ramifications to that, but he says, becomes embittered, recognizing where his neshama has been placed, in the place which is barely a glimmer of godliness is invested. So he's embittered over the soul's descent from the loftiest heights to the greatest depth. So this is all to invoke the avodah, the longing, the sacrifice, the devotion, culminating in Krishma, from this he comes to this state of ascent in the Birchas Krishma, the Krishma. It's all ba'ava Krishma, like fire, reaching out tongues, reaching out, longing to ascend, to be absorbed within likus, to leave the shackles of his confinement. So this is all a consistent movement of a yid seeking to extract himself from the concealment where his neshama has been thrust, and to ascend and to unite above. But then, so now when the Kamdam Shoch, this is Shmanesra, Nashas Am Shochem, Lamaila Lamata, drawing a likus down. After the embitterment, not depression, but embitterment. Embitterment is a state of intolerance where I am and I've got to get out. I've got to change it. Atzvos, sadness, is resignation. But meridus is active and intensely so. So after the meridus, we said, yeah, but so we come to now he comes to the avodah, to the state of drawing down the likus into the world. That's what he's asking in Shemines. That Hashem should heal the sick and bless the years. And now he comes to the recognition that the avodah is dafka here, and he's asking the Eibush to draw the kusi into the world. Because movement and understood, even though, conclusion from this, that even though Sheklovis, in general, tefillah is takar karbonos, that's the bulk of tefillah. The bulk of his bonus, it's all aliyah, lamata lamaila. And in the broad sense, Shemines is also part of that. The general aliyah, on one hand, which is why he stands when he says Shemines. Standing is you're in the presence of the king. You're not engaging the world there, you're in the inner chamber. This is the aliyah and the bittul like a servant before his master. And that's why in square brackets, the Gemara is what we're just saying now, that Krishna without tefillin is missing the whole Amshachim Lamaila Lamata. But you got tefillah. What do you have to have tefillin? You have Shemines Esrei. He says, no, that's not the Iker Inyan. The pure Amshach, that's tefillin. Because even Shemines Esrei, in a way, Dafka Shemines Esrei is Tachlis Aliyah. As we learn elsewhere, that Shemines Esrei is connected to Tzilus. It's a total ascent. And the Yerida starts post Shemines Esrei. That's B'chlal. But in more detail, as we're saying now, Yesh Chiluk ben Krishma le Shemines Esrei. There is a difference. Krishma, Yana Halov, Shemines Esrei Yinam Shach. that in a more subtle level, as we draw a distinction between Krishma and Shemoneh Esrei, the fact is in Shemoneh Esrei you are asking for Lefachelim and Mevarech Hashonim. The point is that where are you asking it? You're asking it standing in front of the king. It's Elam Atzilus, Tachlis Habitl. Tefillin is the actual Amshach. Meichin in Midas, and has to go past the navel of the Mamshech Dinyonim in the lowest faculties of Keich Hasiyah, the lowest faculties of a person, his lowest drives have to be channeled. That's the thing of Tefillin. He's binding the emotions. Tefillin is real engagement. Shemoneh Esrei is also Amshach L'mayla L'mata. But where is it? It's Beheichal HaMelech. He's saying to the Eibishter, your kavanah is L'mata, so please give me the koyach and be refachelim, mevarech Hashonim. But where's he standing? He's standing betachlis aliyah. But on the other hand, it's the consciousness and the kavanah aliyah is manifested there. You want to dirib tachtonim, but tachtonim therefore refachelim, mevarech Hashonim. The process of Hamshacha begins. Okay, we'll continue. What is the next line? And what we explain now, we'll understand therefore, sometimes Chassidus, the Karavedis, his emphasis is Krishma. Why? Because that's emphasizing exclusively the Lamata Lamaila. And sometimes the emphasis is Shemoneh Esrei in contrast to Krishma, because there the Adgosha, the emphasis is in the Amshacha Lamata Lamaila below, which is going to explain in further detail, Beit Hashem, tomorrow, friends, at 6 o'clock.